Hi guys, how's it going, Electron Man? Well, today we're going to do a little bit different one. I did this build video on this SWR analyzer, and there's so much. There's like hours here, so I just decided it'd make more sense for me just to go ahead and do a voiceover narration of this one. So here we go. Right here, I'm starting out with drilling the holes. I'm going to fast forward a lot of this because this took a whole long time. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and I screwed it up more than once. I'll admit it already. I think it's turned out all right so far for what I've done, but if I had to do over again, I definitely would have done things different. It's a very confusing unit to install in the front there, the way the S239 goes. And right here, you can see me test fitting it, and right now I'm realizing that even though I thought I flipped it around and used the template off the other case, I had it upside down, so the buttons were on the wrong side. So here I go. I'm going to end up drilling it again, mind you, and then I thought I had it right the second time, and I'm ashamed to say then when I did that, I realized that, yeah, I had the buttons on the right side, but then the S239, it was not centered. It should have been up higher. So I've got like 8 holes in the front of this box that I built to make this case, and I've gotten nowhere. I mean, I've made a complete mess of it. And so anyway, when I got so disgusted, I was about ready to throw the box away, and I looked over there and thought, well, why don't I just take that faceplate, and you can see there I'm doing that. I took the metal faceplate and cut it out and mounted it over the front of that plastic box with epoxy. So now I know I'll have it right, and I used it as a template to drill the holes. And oh, by the way, I drilled a bunch of holes in the back of the box instead of the front of the box, which was wrong too. That poor old box turned into Swiss cheese, but in the long run, I mean, it's just a prototype of sorts, something I'm going to use, so it doesn't have to be pretty. I'm not trying to sell it or make any money or anything off of it, so it's just for me. So if it's not perfectly pretty, it's not the end of the world. But anyway, as you can tell here, I'm a drawing and a templating and a cutting, and I look like Santa's elf on the day before Christmas. I mean, I am just at it, but I made a mess of a lot of it. Here I'm cleaning some of that mess up. I had plastic everywhere from all that cutting, but now as you can see, I'm finally starting to get somewhere. I managed to get the unit with the faceplate from the old box mounted, and it is mounted in there now. So now I'm kind of trying to sort out how to get the rest of it done. I got to put some standoffs in it. I ran into more problems: thickness of the plastic, where the standoffs go. Right here, you can see that's the holes in the back of the case. Well, what I ended up doing is I mixed up some epoxy and I put some metal tape over the back of it and put a little oil so it wouldn't stick to the metal tape, and mix some epoxy. And I'm just going to fill those holes with it's like 5-minute epoxy, but it actually turned out pretty good. At least it sealed the holes, and that was my whole point. It doesn't look pretty from the inside, but it's hard as a rock. And if you flip it over, and let me pull this tape off of here, and you'll see that it actually turned out pretty good. Yeah, I'm working at the tape here. Come on, I should have had this fast forward more, but at least I thought it was kind of an important part to slow down for you could at least see. But I was pretty proud that actually turned out pretty good. So, as you can tell, see it, and it's smooth. I mean, and it filled the holes, so it did what it needed to. Okay, I'm back in there now. See those little green things over there? That's what I ended up finally figuring out to make the standoffs with. I had one metal one, and I cut it down, and I couldn't find any other metal ones, and I've dug through all my cabinets and boxes and everything, and found those little green things for standoffs. Now I'm deciding to go ahead and start cutting in for the meters. And actually, if I had to do over again, I would have had the meters right on top of each other. But I got this bright idea that the frequency meter at the bottom, I could cut a hole there, and that SMA, I could still use the external connection on that frequency counter. Well, that turned out again wrong, because the SMA is on the bottom, not the top. In other words, when I put it in there to mount it that way, the thing would have been upside down, and there's no way to switch it around, from top to bottom as far as the writing on it. So anyway, needless to say, it was another mistake, like I said, that I would do different the second time. But at the end of the day, I'm just wanting to be able to use this thing, so its imperfections are not the end of the world for me, and I think I could pretty it up pretty good in the end. Right there, I'm being smart and using a template on my that's a frequency counter I purchased, and I'm figuring out where to put it. Seeing I'm thinking I can mount it there and have it where the SMA on the bottom of it can be cut in the case and you can screw in. But as I said, that turned out to not be the point. So I end up with this big void in between the 2 meters, which again is not the greatest, but it's not the end of the world either. But here I am getting that one cut out, and I actually, even with my template and taking all my time and everything, I ended up with that thing being too dang big, and it always seems to be that way. And even when I start out small, it turns towards too big. Well, and so I decided, how am I going to mount this? It's really not the unit's not really designed good as far as, I wish you had like a bezel or some brackets on the back or something, but it's just like a little circuit board. So anyway, I decided on hot glue to mount it, and the hot glue works okay. It doesn't really stick real good with that plastic though, and actually in part 3 you'll see I actually ended up, all that work there was more wasted work because I got to messing with it, and it came loose pretty easy. So I realized the hot glue wasn't work. So I tried silicone to start with, but it made a mess. But I figured out if I mount the silicone from the back and then let it dry, and then I can do some pre-up on the front. Yeah, here I can see I put this blue sticker on there to kind of try and pretty up the front of the display, which by the way that's gone now too. I didn't like it. I'd rather have it black with a gap around the meter than to have that blue. That was just one way I thought to make it overlay, make it look cleaner, but one of them experiments that didn't work. But anyway, here we go with at least you can see now where there's the frequency counter at the bottom and the SWR meter at the top, which you'll understand more what those are for once I get it back up and fully operational, which we're getting there. We're getting closer. I got to find some knobs for it. That's going to be a big challenge in itself. As you can tell, I need knobs that recess in, and most of the knobs I have from like CB rails and stuff, they're the opposite. They stick out. So I got to figure out something for knobs. We'll keep looking around, and I'll dig through my junk bins and something, and end up manufacturing hopefully something for it that'll do the trick. I'm sure there's some knob somewhere I can find that'll work. Of course, knob's not it's a big part of it, but it's not. It's more aesthetic than anything. I'd like to have something that looks pretty decent too, but we'll keep working on it. But anyway, as you can see, I'm getting close. I haven't completely wired it yet, and I have wired some of it offline now. I'll get back on video 3 and kind of show you the finishing up and wiring part of it, but there's still a lot left to do, and I'm serious. All that fast forward you watched through there, that was literally hours. I think I spent 4 or 5 hours. I'm glad I'm not charging by the hour for somebody to do this. This is just a personal little project, because it would have been a very expensive box for not as pretty as it looks to make. But I think in the end it's going to be pretty cool. We're continuing down that path there to get her where we want her. Trying to see if there's anything else I need to. As you can see, I have the LED deal. I'm just debating on whether I should put a LED light behind the meter too. I don't know. Maybe I will. Just since it'll snazz it up a little bit, and I still haven't done anything as far as. I think I'm going to use a little RC like 11.1 volt lithium polymer pack to power the whole thing. That seems like that would make the most sense. Anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you do, subscribe and hit that like, and have a great day.